Welcome back, people. It's me, Doomcard, Elusive, coming back for our part 2 collection update.
Yeah, man, we're gonna start off with Hulk. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on similar to what Doom was doing. Obviously, my take on collecting is a little bit different because I'm not a character collector per se. I like to collect in groups of 3. So what I do is if it's not one of my main PC characters, right? Like they're not in my top 5. In other words, everything else I just collect the best 3 cards in my opinion for that character, and that's based on artwork, based on rarity, based on uh, significance. So for Hulk, obviously, I started off. The first piece I picked up was the Juiceco Speckle. Um,
Nice.
I wanted the Kaleidoscope. I think the artwork is it's not the greatest looking Hulk, but I like the background, the contrast, the colors. Like there's more to it than just you know the Hulk's
It
artwork
has
there.
a retro feel to it, which is what I love.
Yeah, and then the second card I got was the Red Hulk Pmg, and I remember I was in LA and I was doing deals, selling some cards, and this was ending that day on auction, and this is when mine, just for everybody again for context at the time, I had purchased a Iron Man PMG Red from 2017 for $200, I believe, and then the Surfer 2013 PMG I had picked up for like 3 or 400, I can't recall. So that the reason I'm mentioning that is at the time, that's what I thought they were worth, for the
Yeah.
Reds. And then so this came up, and I had just done a good sale. So I thought, you know what, let me just secure it now because I only saw these, anytime one of these appeared, they just kept going up and up and up and up. So I bid 1,000, I believe was my max bid, and I won this for $800. That PMG Red. Um, since then,
Pretty high.
I'm happy. It's never been any lower than that ever since then. Even on in the so-called dip, I think the lowest it's gone for, and it was a bad grade. I think it was like 1,300 or 1,100. I can't recall. But in nines, this usually does $2,800 in a 9. Then just to move to the beginnings Hulk, I started looking to the beginnings holograms, and those are special. I had been collecting for over a year, and I had never seen that Hulk ever.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, to me, that's like top tier artwork. The card design is dope. The rarity's there. And obviously Marvel Beginnings, there's going to be more significant. It's going to be more significant than it is now, just simply because they're coming up with the new set. So
Yeah.
once if that new set is as successful as this set was, I feel people are just going to go back and try to see what's going on with the old set. What did the old set have to offer?
What they missed out on, because this set was overlooked for the most part. Like I know they have micro motions are a big deal on that one.
Mhm.
The cover breakthrough issues, but holograms, we didn't see them as soon. I don't remember seeing these pop up often until like the last when Marvel Beginnings was announced again. These started to
Yeah.
pop up.
Yeah, and to that point, like both me and you are still missing the hologram each.
I need that Doom.
I need the
Anyone has
Gambit.
that Doom, you know, we get works so
No,
well.
yeah, same thing with the Gambit. I got good things you could pick from. So let's go. Let's go next. And Moon Knight. So Moon Knight's another character that, to be honest with you, I never thought I'd collect Moon Knight, and I didn't collect it because of the TV show directly, but I would say for sure indirectly. What happened was obviously the character was brought to my attention because of the show. And I remember going through eBay, you know how we check our blue dots and check what's going on, what's been listed. And I saw the Marvel Beginnings hologram. And it was a guy who had it up for like 1,500 OBO. And I just stared at that artwork and I was like, wow, that's the craziest artwork I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and the detail you showed, like the one you showed me about, the hands. It's
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what drew me to it. So then I looked at it closer and I noticed that like he had the Wolverine on the right hand and then the Spider-Man flick on the left hand.
crazy, man.
So when I saw that, I mean, I right away I added a blue dot for it. I saved it in my searches, and finally one popped up. I was able to pick it up, and then from there, I was already, as you know, looking into the 75th gold borders from Rittenhouse. So I was
Yeah,
like, huh, I wonder if he has a gold border. Then I saw it, and I was like, wow, it was the
that's
second craziest artwork.
That's a Doctor Doom gold border. That whoever drew that, straight up Doctor Doom.
I mean, he
Come
just
on
feels that way,
now.
guys, because his actual Doctor Doom 75 Gold Border can't even touch that Moon Knight artwork.
What
That's
you
all.
mean? We just talked about my collection, he's on the mountains, the
You talked
emote.
about it.
Crazy, bro. But no, that looks like God Emperor Doom for like a slight second. And
Yeah, it
it's
looks dope. Yeah, and then finally the quick strike. Again, I wanted to keep it to only 3 cards for the character, and the only one that crossed my mind was the X Centuries. Those were like numbered, very low numbered, but I didn't love the artwork as much as I like the quick strike artwork. So I decided to go with artwork, and the quick strikes. I think there might be like between 100 and 120 of them. So for me just to get it in a 9, I don't need a 10. Mint is fine for me. And yeah, that concludes Moon Knight. I'm very happy with this collection. I have countless requests of people trying to get the gold border for me. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. It's just a special card, and I'm just to be honest.
it's only
And then we're gonna move
75.
on. Yeah, I mean, and now I understand how they're still not as appreciated, or the demand is still not there, as some people would put it. But it will be, at least I feel. And if it doesn't, again, I don't have nothing but my own copy, so I'm happy with it. Now
Yeah.
moving to Spider-Man, I'm not huge into Spider-Man personally, and I know Doom doesn't
It's
like
a
it too much.
sick trio though. Like it's just not even fair.
And yeah, I appreciate that, man. And I just wanted to go. I was like, look, if I'm going to go with Spider-Man's, I want to get autos, and
Yeah.
and it all
Yeah.
stemmed from the Impel that started it for me. So I really like the the Marvel Universe Impel set. I like the design of it. It's very nostalgic. I just don't like that it's overprinted, as many of us don't like that part, right? Which is why you have to pick those up in PSA 10s only. And even those some of those PSA 10s have crossed over the 100 pop threshold in a 10. So again, not very
Yeah.
rare. But this is an insert that was in 2015 Flair Retro, and I don't know the exact pack odds, but from what I hear, there are no more than 15 to 25 copies of that auto.
Yeah.
Um, and then I remember talking to shout out to Nora and Sketchcard Hive. Um, he was talking to me about the significant pieces in his mind for Marvel, and he was the one who recommended me to look for this card, the Stanley and Mike Waringo dual auto. And I happened to see it on eBay. The guy had it up for auction or best offer. And I believe at the time, because I know I'm not the only one looking for this card. I knew this already going in when I set up the blue
Yeah.
dot. So in my mind, I already had a figure that I don't want to go over. Luckily for
Yeah.
me, I threw an offer literally maybe $25 above his starting bid price, and the seller auto accepted, and I got the card. So
Wow.
that's the story for that one. Again, it's going to stay in my collection because I do. It's grown on me. This is one example for me, at least, because I'm gonna be honest. When Sketchcard first told me about this card, I didn't get it only because that Spider-Man is not an actual sketch that's already printed on the card.
Yeah. It's
Um,
just like a base card basically, but it's what is it, through mail-in where you get it after a
yeah,
certain amount of cards.
yeah, you have to collect all the sketchographs plus this card, which was like one out of 5,760 packs or so. So the
Yeah.
rarity and the significance is crazy on this card. So that's why I wanted to add it to the collection. And then the last card, Doom kind of knows some of this backstory because
Oh my
I
god.
was selling off some pieces that didn't fit in my collection, pieces that I bought honestly solely to sell in the future, to be frank, and those were vibranium. So shout out
Yeah.
to Marvel Madness, Josh. I appreciate you, telling me about vibranium because that card was bought by vibranium. So I really appreciate that. And at the time, that
That's
card
crazy.
was that card was
Crazy.
sitting on ComC for this for months, and it was
Yeah.
I believe it was like $4,600 or so. And I understand that's crazy. I never would have owned this card, to be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that I was able to sell pieces off in order to acquire it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and I knew that was going to be my only shot at doing so. Everybody was paying too much attention to the PMGs at the time. I remember Spidey Hits now. He's a Spider-Man collector. He didn't have that card when I posted it. He told me, he went after the Spider Gwen Green PMG. So again, I
Yeah.
just took advantage of the fact that a lot of people weren't paying attention to that card at the time, and I'm glad I added to the collection. There you
Nice.
go. Then, so these are honestly very special to me. This is a goal I had from the get go, and I'm probably gonna make a separate video on my goals with collecting. But one of my goals was to get this card in a 9.5 or better with the buyback and any other card that goes with it. In this case, the Silver X Over. But I love the artwork. This is Bob Larkin, and the
Yeah.
buyback's numbered out of 50. It was very, for me, I was fortunate to find the buyback very early on ComC. But then, because after that, those buybacks are almost impossible to find, as you know, because there's a guy that holds like the majority of that 2018 Fleer X-Men product.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I just love the artwork. There's not much to say about this. I love the base card. It's a 9.5. I got that from, shout out to Cool Card Life, Michael Beckett Registry. That's who I got the slap from. And then I obviously just bought the silver foil on eBay, and
And
you can still find these.
if you notice, there's a trio in there.
Yeah, I just like the trios, man. Like, and obviously there's some cards that you're not going to find a trio for, which is this example. Well, actually, unfortunately, I didn't send you the right photo, but this next one also has a third card, and it's the Sega Promo. So the
Oh,
Sega
wow.
Promo has the same artwork, the same thing, right? You got the PSA 10
Yeah.
base card version, and then you have the numbered to 50 buyback. And I remember I wanted this card so bad because this buyback did cost me a lot of time and effort to find. At the time, the people I was talking to, honestly, they didn't think I was going to be able to acquire it. They're like, "Yeah, you're never going to find that, and if you do, it's going to cost you X." Well, I was lucky enough to find it. I did pay a decent amount of money for it. I feel not too much. I think buybacks and for that range still go for there. I paid around 250 or 275 for the buyback.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with this. This is my favorite Magneto artwork personally, and this is also by Bob Larkin. So here you
Yeah.
go.
It's just the awesome pose too. Like,
The colors, man, the colors pop so much. Yeah, everything about this card, I just enjoy it. Which leads me to start off Gambit, right? And Gambit, same
yeah,
thing
man.
from the same set. You're gonna notice the recurring theme is I also love the 1994 Ultra Fleer X-Men, right?
But by the way,
And
we talk about this often. Gambit. A lot of cards are not the best artwork. Uh, I feel like they don't do them justice enough.
yeah, yeah. And the first one or the one in the middle is obviously the PSA 10 base card. The one to the left, that's the Sega promo. Um, you can't
Uh,
tell from the back, but there's a Sega
yeah,
logo on the back. And then the one far to the right is the buyback. Obviously,
yeah,
you could tell from the gold X, also numbered to 50. This one gave me a headache, man. I asked people over and over, like if they could find it. They couldn't. Like again, they're just very hard to come by. The people that have them, I don't blame them. I'm never letting it go, so I could see why nobody would want to sell theirs either. But
yeah.
again,
It's tough.
thankfully, I was able to get it. Yeah, yeah. As far as cost wise, it was easier to build cost wise this trio than the Magneto. But still, I'm very happy with this, man. That's an iconic Gambit pose and
Just,
Gambit card.
yeah,
And then we move on to another another Gambit card of my favorite, and this one is specifically stuck with me because I didn't plan on buying anything from X-Men Metal, to be honest with you. Um, when the
yeah,
product came out, I was so focused on completing my goals from the older sets that I
yeah.
didn't think I was going to go for anything. But one of our friends, Crypto Collectibles, shout out to Sergio, he pulled this. He pulled the luckiest pull out of his
He
ass in APAC, to
he
be honest
pulled
with you.
so many like back to back. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, and I remember at the time, again, just to give you guys a little bit of story, I still have, but I had a Perna sketch of Doctor Doom. Crypto's also a Doom collector. And
Yeah,
when he pulled this, I offered him the Doom sketch, and for a one-on-one trade. He declined again, rightfully so. I wouldn't want to let this card go.
yeah,
Luckily, I was able to pick one up, and it's funny how it works. And this is going to be a reoccurring thing you'll see on a couple other cards. But as soon as I picked up one, the other two came fairly easy compared to the first one.
Mhm.
This is super. I just love the insert. I also picked Gambit because when you see a lot of the cards in the set, I like some of them, and he wasn't as expensive as it was to collect like Wolverine, right? So I stayed away from Wolverine in this set for that reason. But I do enjoy the Platinum Portrait more than Wolverine, so that's the reason I ended up, and that's another thing, by the way, too. If I really enjoy a card, I'll buy multiples of the card.
Yeah, that's what you do even with, Hot Wheels, like, that's what you go to. You
Yeah,
stack a couple, and it makes sense. Me, I can't really do that much. It just doesn't uh, after I
you
get
get
a
bored.
copy, yeah, like, it's just kinda sitting there. But this set and, like, when they came out, that was the card from this set
Mhm.
to me,
Yeah,
and I think to a
and
couple other
no,
people too.
I agree. But now, again, maybe because of I feel it's more so the economy than anything directly correlated to Marvel. But you could find there's actually two of 'em, as we record this, available on eBay. Not mine, by the way, but two of them are available. And then
Yeah, for
we
a high
move to
price.
this yeah, this special card. This is from 2014
Crazy.
Marvel Premiere. It's a shadow box. This is the only time, to my knowledge, that this Gambit artwork has been used on a card other than the comic book. And this card had a pull rate of 1 out of 35 tins you would have to buy. So to put that in perspective for people that don't know Marvel Premiere, it was a set where if you would buy a tin, you had a single pack of cards. In the pack of cards, you would have one sketch, and then a sketch was within the tin. So you would get guaranteed two sketches, and you would get two numbered cards, and then another insert. Shadow boxes being one of them. So that means you would have to buy 35 boxes in order to pull this. And then also, shout out to Stacking Gems. If you do the character odds, you know, there's other
Yeah, it's
characters you could
crazy.
have pulled. So yeah, it's impossible. The only time I ever saw this posted on eBay or ever come up, it was sold to me by Yates. A lot of people in the community know who Yates is.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I was able to reach out to him off eBay, and we were able to make it happen. And I really appreciate this card. I'm actually still trying to get a one touch for this, by the way, because it's like 180 or 190 point card. It's a
Yeah,
super thick card.
super thick card. I think it's the only shadow box you have in your collection, right?
Correct. Yeah. And I'm not big into shadow boxes, but when I saw this Gambit, I was like, yeah, I can't. As a Gambit collector, I can't pass on this.
It's crazy, man, and it has that classic X-Men logo, like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to conclude Gambit for what I'm sharing with you guys here today. And starting off with Wolverine, Uh, same story. I have a similar story for these. This is also I bought this from Yates. I purchased the whole ruby set before any of the rubies increased in price or anything like that. And largely because of this card, I really wanted to get this in my collection. Um, I wanted, me, man. I'm very weird, as you know. I like to pair my cards and take photos of them in a certain way. So a lot of times, like even my collecting is influenced by ideas that I have of how I want to see them. Like,
Present them,
um,
yeah.
yeah, present them correct. So this goes really well with the Wolverine Stutzy promo. It's the same artwork.
Yeah,
So that was my main reason for wanting to pick this up. So
yeah,
I
you're setting up a trio in your head before you even buy this.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I got the card. It's an awesome card. I also again got it from Yates, like I mentioned. And to me, there's three different ruby variations of Wolverine, or more than three, but three that are recognizable as Wolverine. And two of them are in the Marvel Universe set, and again, there's some that I'm not acknowledging. And then the one in the 75th set. And to me, out of the three, this is the best looking one.
It's just a yeah, it's a dope image. Just
Yeah,
classic Wolverine,
classic.
aggressive, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like the ruby goes well with it. I wouldn't say it color matches, but I think it just goes better than what the emerald does. Now, I
Yeah, yeah.
don't own the diamond, and for those who don't know, then the rubies, this red one is numbered to 50. The diamond is
Yeah,
numbered out of 10. I've never seen one. I
I've
know
never
a
seen one.
collector who has one in their collection. Um, that's not letting it go, and if he does, it's going to be as a set, which I'm not buying a diamond set. But
It's crazy.
again, I'll have to I have to settle for the ruby, which is funny that we say settle because again, in the future, man, we're going to be happy to be able to get the emeralds out of 100.
Yeah, yeah.
And then next,
Oh my god, this
I
car.
this jambalaya is gorgeous, man. I really wanted. I personally feel, and I think you agree with me on this. We've spoken about it in the past. This is the best Wolverine artwork for a jambalaya. I know people are going to say it's Weapon X. It's Wolverine. It's
Yeah,
better than
same
the
thing.
2013, better than the 2015, better than the 2017, and I have the 2017. I don't have the 15 or 13, but just so you know, I'm not biased. I just love the artwork. It's classic artwork.
Those those
Jambalaya.
Weapon X covers, like that comic book run, it just has some of the greatest, covers out there. But this image definitely,
Yeah, it's just a iconic artwork for Weapon X, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And then finally, actually, here I got the wrong image, but let's just pretend these have autos. Um, this is supposed to this is supposed to be a Jim Lee auto and the Stuart Monin auto on the left. Same artwork, by the way, just different grades. My Eminem is a PSA 10 with the auto, and then my Jim Lee is a PSA 7. And again, to me, these are like the best two artworks for Wolverine, like bar none. At least again for me.
yeah,
And I've seen some sick Wolverines, and they're also in my collection for the most part. There's pieces I'm still missing, of course, but these two stand out to me the most because I see it as like modern and vintage, right? And then the card is
yeah,
paying
yeah.
homage to Jim Lee. But yeah, the Jim Lee auto I was able to acquire from Scandell. A lot of people know him in the community. Super awesome collector. He's been collecting these Jim Lees for 10 years plus. Any that came up on eBay, most likely he got them. If he didn't get
Yeah.
them, you probably caught him slipping. You know what I mean? So, so he was able to. We made a trade last year. We made a private trade, and I was able to acquire the Jim Lee in that trade, and I'm just happy to have it in my collection, man, because I know I'm never going to see that again. The embossed stamp, yeah. The Stuart Eminem, same thing. Again, for those who can't see, but the Stuart Eminem also has the same or very similar, at least Sharpie used the silver to do the auto. I mean, everything about
Yeah.
it is just as good as it gets.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't even
Is
know if
the
you want to add anything to
original
that.
and the homage, like, both with, autographs. The Jim Lee ones is just, special.
Mm. Yeah,
That set
yeah.
created partly influenced the, X-Men cartoon we all grew up with, so it's just amazing.
And you know what I like, man, on that point that you said, it's like it's the Jim Lee. I that makes me much more appreciate the Stuart Eminem or Monin, excuse me, even much more, only because it's hard for me and you talk about our work all the time, and it's usually hard for us to like give it up to something modern over something older. It's very rare when some of the
Yeah,
new stuff
that's true.
gets the old stuff, and the fact that we even considering it means it's probably closer than it is, and we're probably biased and nostalgic towards Jim Lee. But either way, again, you
Yeah,
can't go
no,
wrong.
that's a fact. At
Yeah.
least for me, like, Jim Lee is X-Men to me, so, you know.
Yeah. And then we'll start my surfer collection. Just key pieces that I wanted to talk about. And same thing for me when I first started collecting. I first dove into Surfer for the 1992 Battle Spectre Gems, Thanos versus Silver Surfer card. That was my first quote unquote grail to me for Surfer. Once I acquired that in a BGS 95, which was my goal, those cards are extremely hard to grade. Till this day, it's been a year later. At the time that I purchased it, it was a Pop 8 in a BGS 95. Since then, it's a Pop 14. So it literally
About the
doubled in a
same.
year. It's not
Yeah,
nothing crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
So I saw this Surfer artwork from 1996 Marvel Masterpieces. I actually talked to Norrin about this card as well. He owns the only 10 in existence. So I saw this come up, and it went for auction. It was a 6-day auction, 7-day auction, excuse me. And I remember trying to gauge again because just to give you guys some context, I'm new to the hobby. I don't know what these go for. I mean,
Yeah.
other than sales history for that same 90 days, because eBay kind of cut us down to 90 days. So in the past 90 days, I believe at the time they were selling for like $400 to $500, the double impact surfers, and there was only 2 nines on the pop report. And so when this came up, I actually ended up winning this for around $670, I believe. At the time, I know some people thought I overpaid, but since then, it's been a year, and there's still only the 110, and only one has been added to the nine. So the nine is still a pop three.
It's crazy, man.
The artwork from Boris is ridiculous. The colors, like everything about this card is crazy to me. So this is always going to be in my collection, and it's just a very simple card. And behind it, for those that don't know, the double impact has an image of Captain America, which is also great artwork by Julie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, the surfer for me, this is it. Then I started looking into the PMGs again, like I mentioned with the Hulk. I bought this one on ComC, and I really wanted to get a blue. I know that for the most part, excuse me, people prefer the red, but
Yeah.
the blue for the surfer, the contrasts go really well with the blue and the silver. So I'm still chasing that. Shout out to Card Boss who beat me on an auction for a blue. Oh, I remember all of them, guy. but yeah, he beat me on that. At the time I did a misplay and I went for a sealed box of 95 which I don't regret buying the box, but I wish I would have got the surfer first, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, because the surfer ended up doing $1,200 by the way. And I believe he got an 8 on it, which I would have been okay with. Yeah, we don't have to spend too much time with this one. It's just
Yeah, people know what it is.
yeah, it's a PMG and it's surfer, and it's the only year he's ever been in a PMG.
2013.
Then you get to one of my biggest grails for surfer, the 75th anniversary gold border, number to 75. I mean, by Stefan Segovia. Yeah, I love this card, man. And again, you can tell I like it because I have 3 of them, right? And every time I purchase one, by the way, opposite to what I mentioned about, similar to the Gambit in the sense that as soon as I acquired the first, it was kind of like easy to acquire the next 2, or they came up. And shout out to Arthur Collection Kings. He's the first one who blessed me with the first 75th gold border. We made a nice trade. He's always been super awesome to deal with. As soon as I got into my collection, I think another one popped up within a month. I purchased the one raw for 200, and then the PSA 9 popped up, and I remember I went for 1,000. Mind you, at this point, even before I acquired the second one, there's a lot of people still after these. Certain key people. When I say a lot, I mean like I know of 3 or 4 people that wanted the card.
Specific people, right?
Correct. Yeah. Shout out to Crypto. You slept. But by the way, guys, I know you guys don't have a lot of context, but we're all homies here, so they're just inside jokes. But
shout
when
out
the second
Jacob.
one came, yeah, shout out to Jacob on the PSA 9, aka the Tired Hobo. See, one thing I've learned so far from this hobby personally, right, is that if you love something and you think it's undervalued, pay up. Pay up if you really love it. Yeah. And I learned this from Scandell. I've said the story before, but I just want to mention it one more time, to give him credit because this is where I get it from.
Hey, we're gonna have these big quotes too. Big quotes.
Yeah, yeah. I remember me trying to get Jim Lee Auto from him. I don't want to mention what it is because I don't want to put that out there right now. But I wanted to get a Jim Lee Auto, and the dollar amount that he threw out, to me at least, was, and still is, ridiculous, right? But I respect it because to me that's just the number that says I don't want to sell. But if you want it, this is the number. So I remember saying, "Hey, I think it's crazy," and he goes, "Well, then you don't really want it." And I stand by that. That's the quote. Then you don't really want it. If you weren't willing to pay, the $500 that the PSA 9 went for at the time, you don't really want the card, and that's okay. I'll take a 4th one. But yeah, so. That's the story on this card. There's a lot of people trying to complete the gold border set, and that's the thing. Another quote. I'm going to butcher this one. I can't paraphrase it, or I'm going to paraphrase it. It's by the 9.9 Houston. Shout out to 9.9 Houston. Yeah, he mentioned something that really resonated with me, which is he said that every time and again this is paraphrasing, every time he sells a piece, he would want the buyer to feel that the piece is just as special as it is to him. Right. Yeah. So on that note, there's been many people asking me if I want to move one of these 75th surfers, and I feel up to this point that the surfer is more special to me than it is to them. So for that reason, I decided to keep it. I don't think they're going to value it as much as I'm going to value it. so
Right.
therefore it stays in my collection.
Yeah.
And
And
we'll
this
go to the
card, I
next one.
mean, 75 copies only, no parallels. Unlike, PMGs, you have multiple numbered parallels of it. It's just 75. You get 75 is shots at getting one.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, you got 72 now. And we'll
Man.
end it with this. So I'm
Awesome.
very grateful to have this piece, man. And we share this in common. We both have pieces by Martinick. Yeah. So when I had the opportunity to get an AP done by Martinick, this is the one I chose, and um, I'm just super happy to have it in my collection, man. And look, we talked about this before. The 75th Gold Border. I love that card. Right? Its significance, its rarity, its artwork, everything about it. But this is tailor made for me in the sense that
Yeah,
it's an
yeah.
AP. So it's more special to me. Now, in general, for those who don't know, APs don't usually sell for as high as pack pulled card or pack pulled sketches do.
Right.
So that's why I mean it's significant to me. If this goes up on eBay, I'm sure it would sell for a lot less than what I'd be willing to pay for
Yeah.
it. And that concludes it, man. As you know, we're still on the hunt for pieces that will not be mentioned anymore. I will not be making these mistakes again.
I
But
mean, it's a sickness. We're always looking after something else. We're not right from the head. I mean, we just gotta own up to it. I guess, it's something that
yeah.
has we have that collector spirit from early age, I'm sure. It was passed down or we were just born with it.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, the collection continues and we'll have more videos updating as we go. Um
Yeah, we
especially
have a lot of things
Elusive.
to come.
Yeah, Elusive has a tons more to choose from that he hasn't shown. So, and a lot of stories, which is, it's part of the fun in collecting.
Mhm.
You have your circle, you have your stories. Um, you know,
Yeah, for me, we talked. We'll end it with this, but we touched on this earlier today. Like, if I could break it down to like just three stages, obviously more than that, but just to keep it condensed, it's the stage of like looking for the item, right? Like the hunt is stage number one for me.
my favorite part,
Um, right?
the hunt,
I love
research.
that research. Yeah, the research part. Then making the deal happen,
I
right?
think
Like
that's your
figuring.
favorite part. Yeah, because me,
I
I
no,
just want to
I
click it
don't.
and boom.
Yeah, me too. I don't enjoy it, by the way, but I enjoy once you finally found it. It's like finding Waldo,
This is what he
right?
says. He doesn't enjoy it, but
Do
I
you think?
think
Well, you more than most people have like
we
a
talk
lot
to
of yeah.
people in the circle. I think he enjoys, the negotiating part,
Mhm,
the let me lock this down part, which
mhm,
it's fun when you find one. Yeah, you got to lock it down. That's the second thing.
mhm. Yeah, and another stage I love about it is for me is taking a photo of it.
Like we get to be our own, for lack of a better word, curators.
Yeah,
Actually
yeah, that word's
present
been thrown
this
around. Yeah, it's been
uh,
thrown around a lot, but yeah,
loosely.
very.
But yeah, we get to play, creative directors and actually give it its justice, present it in its best light.
Mhm,
Especially cards we feel that have been overlooked.
mhm.
I mean, we both have, band characters that are our favorites. So
And to be
mhm.
honest, man, this is the way I also like my whole I guess you would say drive behind collecting certain pieces as well. And obviously there's pieces that you have a personal meaning to you or nostalgia or whatnot. But for the most part, the way I see it is, and this is as far fetched as it might sound to some people, but in the future, if there's ever like a Marvel card museum, we'll say, right? And I
Yeah,
was the quote unquote curator of that museum, and they asked me,
yeah,
hey, here's the budget, here's the list of characters we want, bring us the best artwork from those characters.
best of the
That's
best.
that's what I'm doing for my collection. That's how I
Yeah,
would summarize it. But yeah, man.
awesome,
Well,
man.
thanks for sitting through this, man, and thanks for sitting through this monologue. And and we'll be doing some more videos soon. You guys
Hey,
have a good
shout out to all the homies. You catch stray shots along the way.
one.
Part of the thing.
Yeah, dude. It is what it is.
All right, peace, y'all.
Late.